Do I have to speak for 2 minutes to get a good score in summarized group discussion? How do I take notes? It's such a long discussion. Can I use any template or a structure? Do I really need to separate main ideas, supporting ideas, and all other additional information? Will all my answers will always be double checked by a human? If these are the questions you have in your mind for summarized group discussion, then you are not alone. And in today's video, we will find out how we can tackle these issues and actually score well for summarized group discussion and secure 90 out of 90 in our PT speaking module. Hi guys, this is Rashid and I'm from Ace Language, and in today's video we are going to focus on one of the most challenging tasks of PT academic speaking module, that is summarized group discussion. After the once in a lifetime changes in PT academic test that happened on 7th of August, there were two new questions added in the speaking module, and one of them is summarized group discussion. This is a particularly challenging question types for the students because in this question type, students have to listen to a recording of up to 3 minutes, which is very long given all other question types in PT academic speaking and listening module. And not only that, after listening to that particular discussion, they have to answer and speak for up to 2 minutes, which is very, very long for most of the students. As we know, there are other question types in PT speaking module where students have to talk for up to maximum 40 seconds. That goes for read aloud, describe image, read a lecture, and respond to a situation. But this is the only question type where students have to speak for more than 40 seconds, and that too for 2 minutes. So in today's video, what we will do, we will learn about the basics of summarized group discussion. We'll also learn what we should focus on and how we can take notes. Again, I'm telling you how we can take notes. That's gonna make a difference in how we answer, because our answer will be as good as our note taking. This is gonna be a long discussion during the exam and we can't remember everything. The best thing that we can do is to take note. That's gonna make a difference. So without further ado, I'm gonna share my screen now and we're gonna go through my slides to understand how we can approach summarized group discussion and still score the best possible one in our next PD test. Jump into this presentation. First and foremost, take a look at here. Summarized group discussion is the newly added question type, and this is the 6th question type of your PT academic speaking module. This is going to contribute about 18.8% towards our PT speaking module and 20% towards our listening module. That means if we want a really superior score for both speaking and listening, we need to focus on this particular question very attentively. Let's move to the next slide. In this slide, you can see the exam screen. Here, you can see the instruction panel. It will always have this particular image, and this is the audio status box. You can see the instruction panel says that you will hear 3 people having a discussion. This will always be a discussion between 3 people. You will hear a beep. That means after the recording is finished and our preparation time is also finished, we'll hear a beep before the recording or microphone opens up. So just so you know, after the recording is finished or the question is finished, you will have only 10 seconds to prepare, and before the question is played, the discussion is played, you will only have 3 seconds, right? That means not a lot of time. If you have watched my respond to a situation video, you already know that before the question is played in respond to a situation question type, you will have 15 seconds. But for this particular question type, you will only have 3 seconds. And after the question is finished, you will have 10 seconds. And after that, microphone will open and you will have to answer in 2 minutes. That means you will have to talk for about 2 minutes in order to secure a great score. But whether you have to speak for 2 minutes or not, that's a discussion that we will go through in this particular video. Now, what we have learned so far, that this will be a discussion between 3 university students. Always the context of these discussions will be university. Question lengths will be up to 3 minutes. You will have 10 seconds of preparation time and answering time is 2 minutes. Number of questions you are gonna get in the exam is gonna be 2 to 3. Score is contributed to both speaking and listening, and of course human will double check your content only. One thing that is missing here is that out of the 3 people in the discussion, there will always be 2 males and 1 female, or 2 females and 1 male. It will never be all 3 male or all 3 females. Now let's go to the marking criteria. You can see that I've just copied and pasted Pearson's marking criteria. It says a lot of things that is written in the book or on their scoring guideline. You can go to the link I will provide in this video and read it yourself. There's no point of reading everything line by line. But what I will focus on is this: what you really need to do in order to secure a 6 out of 6 in your content. Just so you know that content will have 6 points and fluency 5, pronunciation 5. In order to get 6 out of 6, you need to accurately summarize all the main ideas and give some supporting details of all the speakers in your own word, or so they say. Show clear relationships between the speakers' ideas, like who agrees, who disagrees. This kind of things need to be addressed. Use a variety of precise vocabularies. We'll hit onto that particular point very soon. And use good linking words. This is very important between the paragraphs and between the sentences. You better use some linking words so that your answer flows smoothly. Now this is a list of do's and don'ts by Pearson. If you take a look at what we need to do, first and foremost, take clear notes. And this is a no-brainer. The reason is very simple. If we are going to answer a question which has a recording of, let's say, 3 minutes, we can't remember everything. It's impossible, whoever you are, unless you have an eidetic memory. You need to take precise note, and how we will take note will be the difference maker, and we will see that. What I will do in today's video, that I'm gonna play the recording and stop at places and show you what note I have taken or how I take the note, so that you can get some idea. Obviously, always begin with the overall summary. You will notice in all the recording, at the beginning of the group discussion, one speaker will say what is the discussion about, and you need to mention that at the beginning of your answer as well. Include the main points of each speaker with some details. If you can give some details, but make sure whatever the main point the speaker is making, each speaker, make sure you mention them separately. Clearly say which speaker said what, using phrases like speaker 2 stated that they are actually giving you an idea that you can use certain phrases. That means you can use a structure, no issue at all. And then obviously use some connecting words, as they said earlier as well. Show if the speaker agree or disagree. I mean, this is a very important part, and you will see that how am I addressing that particular thing in my way of answering. And also write in a natural connected way. And what you shouldn't do is, don't just write speaker 1 said, speaker 2 said. Remember our templates that a lot of students and a lot of coachings actually used to use, that this image shows, this image shows, this image shows, I can see. They are clearly saying don't do that. Don't add incorrect or made up information. If you can't answer in full, don't say unnecessary things. As you can see that they are saying don't give made up information, because your information and answer or the content itself will be checked by human. Don't confuse who said what. Be careful with attribution, very important, and we'll discuss about it, how we can address that if we cannot identify. And don't try to include every single point. makes sense. They are going to discuss about 3 minutes, and we are not supposed to remember everything. And don't keep your answer too short. It should reflect the whole discussion. There goes your answer of that question, that how long should I actually speak. It shouldn't be too short, and it shouldn't also be too detailed. So I will say an answer of around 1 minute 20 seconds to 1 minute 30 seconds will be a very good point. And don't jump between ideas randomly, just oh, he said that, he said that, she said that. No, make it structured and we will see how it works. Don't introduce topics in a robotic way. Topic 1 is this, topic 2 is this. Like, again, they're saying don't simply use a template, use a structure. Right. So what we have to do in order to take good notes before we do anything, understand this: be an active listener. Listen carefully. You have to be able to understand the meaning of the sentence in order to take note. If you do not understand the meaning of the sentence, you cannot take a good note. So be an active listener. Try to understand what they're saying. This is a situation which can happen with you in your real life, at your universities, in Australia or any other English-speaking country. So please make sure that you try to understand the meaning. Take organized note, and I will show you how I organize my note for summarized group discussion. Only take note of the important issues, and I will show you where are the important issues or important information in the question. And maintain a logical sequence, which is quite logical thing to say, and use short forms, abbreviations, signs to take notes, right? I mean, there's something that I should not tell you or teach you. I mean, we are from this generation, SMS generation. We are used to writing short forms, abbreviations. Use that skill or put that skill to the best use in this particular situation. These are some of the symbols you can use to take notes. You can definitely use this. Not necessarily you have to. This is my guide that I provide to my students, and this is how I actually make shorter version or abbreviated version of each question, each word. I have my own pattern which I have developed over the years by taking notes at university, while I prepared for my PTE test, and when I'm teaching. You are more than welcome to do so as well. Create your own abbreviation chart. Not necessarily you have to follow my one. You can definitely take some ideas from this one. And you need to be very organized in taking notes. Always remember, in your PTE test, in the summarized group discussion, most of the time each speaker will have 3 to 4 main points. So you can see I am determining that I'm gonna talk about 3 main points. The reason is we do not have enough time when we are going to speak, so we do not need to talk about everything. You can see that I am writing main topic up top, which is I'm gonna write as empty, and then I'm writing S1, S2, S3, and keeping 3 lines empty. One important thing is, whenever first speaker talks, if it is a male, you will write S1 is M, or if it is female, you will write F. That's how you know whether you should use he or she in your answer. And same thing goes for S2 and S3. Now, there is a trick that you have to remember. I wouldn't say trick, I will say tips. Remember this: before this question is played, that means the recording is played, you only have 3 seconds, and you can't do it in 3 seconds, right? The question type before summarized group discussion is answer short question. And you know that is not at all important. Our research says that even if we do not answer that, we will get 90 out of 90 in our listening. So we need not to bother about that answer short question or making it perfect. We know that we are gonna get 2 to 3 questions for summarized group discussion, and what we will do is we are gonna write down these in our structured way of taking notes in our notepad during that time, right? We'll do 2 to 3, or like this, 3 actually, so that if we get 3 questions, we already have these things, this note-taking space prepared beforehand, so that we don't need to worry about that when we only have 3 seconds, and we wouldn't panic, right? And this is the structure I used, and I recommend you can use that. You can see that I am starting by saying the discussion focuses on, and then I'm gonna talk about the main topic that the additional speaker is going to introduce at the beginning. Then I'm gonna say at first the first speaker, as you can see, I'm saying initiated the conversation by stating that. Here I'm going to talk about the first point, and you can see how am I starting. I'm starting with at first the discourse marker, the joiner. On top of that, another joiner, she or he. So here, even though the speakers will give information randomly, first speaker 1 will speak, then speaker 2, speaker 3, what we are going to do, as you can see from our previous slide, is we are going to write the ideas or topics of each speaker under their given space, so that we can talk about only speaker 1 at the beginning, then go to speaker 2, then go to speaker 3. It's not mandatory to do it this way, by the way, but if you do that, your answering will be much easier, right? Then I'm saying furthermore, she or he showed enthusiasm to, giving more info, and then I'm saying she or he concluded by emphasizing on. Obviously you can understand it will depend on whether that particular speaker is male or female. Then come to the next speaker, and the first sentence I'm saying is, while the first speaker expressed his or her opinion, the second speaker also provided his or her 2 cents in the discussion. She or he started by agreeing or disagreeing. Here comes the fact. If I go back to this particular slide, as you can see what Pearson wants you to do, it says show whether the speaker is agreeing or disagreeing. It is giving me the opportunity to address that particular fact, right? She or he started by agreeing or disagreeing to speaker 1 and builds on this by adding that. Then I'm gonna talk about how he or she agreed or disagreed. Then I'm saying she or he further focused on, and then I'm saying the second speaker ended the discussion by mentioning that. Now here I'm trying to keep the gender neutral because it will be difficult for some students to remember the gender. But if you can remember, you can simply say she ended or he ended by the discussion by mentioning that, right? So if you cannot remember the gender of the speaker, you can always say another speaker said, another speaker said, or first speaker, second speaker. I know that is not the best solution, but hey, if you can't remember or if you cannot figure out whether which one has been said by whom, what else should you do? You cannot keep it empty, right? And then I'm starting my third paragraph, or third speaker's conversation, by saying, on the other hand, the third speaker also joined in the conversation and presented his or her thoughts. She began by pointing out that. Then I'm saying what she said, and she or he also stressed on, and then saying the third speaker then concluded by talking about. Right? That's my structure. I want you to take a note of this, but change it according to your way of speaking, what you feel easier and what you feel is more manageable for you during the exam day. Please do not simply copy and paste my structure, because if all of you start using the same structure or template, that's when you get flagged and that's when you lose your score. As you have seen, what we shouldn't do is keep on saying the same thing or unrealistic thing. Now, what I'm going to do now is going to play this particular recording. I'm going to take notes on my notepad and I'm going to then put it on the screen so that you can understand my note. And what am I going to do again is going to repeat that recording and stop it in places and show what note I took and why I took it, right? Let's listen to this particular recording now. This is summarized group discussion, first question for our video.
3 students are discussing time management at university.
There are a lot of challenges for us at university. It's not just doing well in the courses. We have to be able to balance the academic work with the personal life and also find time to join some extracurricular activities. I mean, I don't want my years at university to be only studying and writing papers.
I know. There's just so much to do. I have to get to the lectures, do all the readings and assignments, complete several projects, and get ready for exams. I hardly have time to breathe.
You know, it's true. My biggest challenge since I started university is managing my time. I can't seem to get myself organised, and I always feel stressed and exhausted. And the worst thing is that I just seem to get organised and the term ends and I have to get used to a whole new schedule.
I agree. That is really difficult. Each course has its own schedule, deadlines and requirements. It's so difficult to create a consistent routine so I can allocate my time effectively. And everything seems to take longer than I thought.
The worst part is that I often procrastinate and put off tasks until the last minute. I think to myself, oh, I have lots of time for that. I have a whole week before it's due. Then all of a sudden, the due date is in 2 days and I'm rushed and don't do a very good job.
That's happened to me so many times. The deadlines are weeks or months away and I have trouble with long-term planning. It's hard to plan so far ahead, but you have to, or you end up rushed. The problem is that you have to learn to multitask, and I was never very good at that. I like to finish one project and start on another. But that's impossible when all the projects and essays are due at the same time at the end of the term. You really have to be able to multitask at university. You have to be able to jump from one topic to another and one type of assignment to another.
And just when you think everything's under control, your computer crashes.
If I could manage my time better, I probably wouldn't be so stressed and exhausted. I've never had to discipline myself like this before. In high school, the teachers told you what to do and when to do it. If you just did what they said, you were fine. But in university, it's up to you to prioritize what tasks are the most important and should be done first. It seems I spend too much time on less important tasks because I like them or they're easier. Then I don't have time for the more important ones.
I guess not managing your time effectively means that you end up working more than you really need to, and you feel so tired and sort of burnt out. I think the university offers a seminar on time management. Maybe we should all go.
Now the lecture is finished, or I wouldn't say lecture, group discussion is finished. I hope you have taken your note. This is my note. Now you can see how I have taken note. First of all, I am taking notes in very abbreviated way, very short and precise way. I'm not trying to take notes of everything. I'm gonna now play the recording back and stop in places to show you what I exactly took notes of and what I left out, so that you understand how easy it is to manage. Right, let's start at the beginning.
3 students are discussing time management at university.
So you can see at first this additional speaker said 3 speakers are discussing about the time management at university, and that's what I wrote. I wrote about TMMGMT, time management, so that I can understand what am I going to talk about in the beginning. And then let's play again.
There are a lot of challenges for us at university. It's not just doing well in the courses. We have to be able to balance the academic work with the personal life and also find time to join some extracurricular activities. I mean, I don't want my years at university to be only studying and writing papers.
I know.
So you can see that for the first speaker, what I did is it's challenges at the university, not about the courses only, balance academic with personal life. So I'm using equal and extracurricular activities. And then he is saying that, oh, I don't want it to be only about study and this and that. I'm not writing those. Those are not important. As long as I can show that he started by saying it's difficult to balance time at the university, that's all I need as information. Okay, just remember that. Only talk about the first important part that speaker is talking about, and rest of the things you are not required to repeat back or to mention in your answer?
There's just so much to do.
So he started by saying that I know. That means he agrees, and so much to do. That's it. I mean, he agrees and saying that, all right, I understand it's a lot to do, right? And next bit.
I have to get to the lectures, do all the readings and assignments, complete several projects, and get ready for exams.
So he's saying so much to do. I have to go get to the lecture, do this, do that. I really don't need to talk about them. These are additional, unnecessary information. Those are focusing on the fact that I have so much to do. So that's not important for me, in my opinion, and I don't need to take note of those things. So if you're worried about, oh, hang on, how can I take note of so much to do? You already know, you just need to talk about so much to do. You have to just take note about so much to do, not the additional information.
I hardly have time to breathe.
It's true. My
bad, I'm going back, and you can see that
I have to get to the lectures, complete hardly have time to breathe.
It's true.
So she said, it's true. That means, yeah, she also agrees. And you can see for agreeing, I'm using double tick so that I understand that, yes, it's agreeing. And let's see what she is saying.
My biggest challenge since I started university is managing my time. I can't seem to get myself organised.
So she's also saying, oh, my biggest challenge is also managing time. Why? Because she can't organize. And as you can see, I'm using this symbol, not organized, or rather than writing, I cannot organize myself, right? It's easier this way and faster this way.
And I always feel stressed and exhausted. And the worst thing is that I just seem to get organised and the term ends and I have to get used to a whole new schedule.
I agree.
See, you can see that I'm now avoiding the rest of the part. I don't need to worry about rest of the part. So it's not difficult to take note for me to take note, because it's very easy. I'm only focusing on what they are saying at the beginning of each conversation. Each time they are starting a conversation, they're putting out their most important info, and then they're elaborating, just like summarized written text. So I am not bothered about those additional info. I'm just focusing on the first time they're starting that particular time, talking at that particular conversation, and I'm just taking note of that. Just listen to the remaining part, and I'm just going to mark down for you to understand what I'm really taking notes and what I'm leaving out. You will understand pretty easily, so that I don't have to do this stop and start again and again.
That is really difficult. Each course has its own schedule, deadlines and requirements. It's so difficult to create a consistent routine so I can allocate my time effectively, and everything seems to take longer than I thought.
The worst part is that I often procrastinate and put off tasks until the last minute. I think to myself, oh, I have lots of time for that. I have a whole week before it's due. Then all of a sudden, the due date is in 2 days and I'm rushed and don't do a very good job.
That's happened to me so many times. The deadlines are weeks or months away, and I have trouble with long-term planning. It's hard to plan so far ahead, but you have to, or you end up rushed. The problem is that you have to learn to multitask, and I was never very good at that. I like to finish one project and start on another. But that's impossible when all the projects and essays are due at the same time at the end of the term. You really have to be able to multitask at university. You have to be able to jump from one topic to another and one type of assignment to another.
And just when you think everything's under control, your computer crashes.
If I could manage my time better, I probably wouldn't be so stressed and exhausted. I've never had to discipline myself like this before. In high school, the teachers told you what to do and when to do it. If you just did what they said, you were fine. But in university, it's up to you to prioritize what tasks are the most important and should be done first. It seems I spend too much time on less important tasks because I like them or they're easier. Then I don't have time for the more important ones.
I guess not managing your time effectively means that you end up working more than you really need to, and you feel so tired and sort of burnt out. I think the university offers a seminar on time management. Maybe we should all go.
Right, so that's it. That's done with our note taking. Now let's try to formulate our answer without our template. So if I look at time management at the beginning, right? So even if I do not use a template or a structure, I can easily create a sentence by saying the group discussion was mainly about time management at the university. Done with my main idea. Now I can go and do my first sentence, right? At first. So how am I starting? At first, this speaker one started the conversation by saying time management is a challenging part of university life. He further said time management, the university life is not only about courses, the time needs to be managed between academic and personal life and for extracurricular activities. Then that is my second line for speaker one. Then I can say, in addition to that, he also said that each courses require different routine. And he ended by saying, when everything seems under control, your computer crashes. So that's done with my speaker one without using any structure. Then I'm going to start for speaker two. Remember, speaker two is also a male. So I'm going to start. The second speaker started by agreeing with speaker one and stated that there are so much to do at the university. The second speaker also said that he has a habit or tendency of procrastination and he keeps everything for the last minute, and that makes him rushed at the end and he doesn't do a good job. He also said that he cannot manage time better and get stressed. And he finished by saying at school, teachers helped him manage time, but at the university, students need to prioritize themselves. Right? That's the end of my second speaker. Then I'm gonna move to third speaker. Remember, she also agreed, right? So I'm gonna start like this. The third speaker started by agreeing speaker 1 and 2 and mentioned that she also faces challenge to manage time and she is not a very well organized person. That I'm focusing on this particular bit, not organized. Then I'm gonna jump into the next point. She also mentions that she faces issue with long-term time management planning and she's not very good with multitasking. She prefers to finish one task and then start another. And she concluded by prescribing everyone to attend an effective time management seminar. Done. So in this way, I think I probably spoke for about 1 minute 20 to 1 minute 30 seconds. You can see that I'm not focusing on too much information, just using my simple notes to create simple sentences. And there are some mumbling that's happening. That will happen. That's natural for any speaker. Even natives mumble. If you are living in Australia and have attended at university, you have seen your professors mumble, right? That's very natural, but it doesn't mean that you have to mumble in every one line, right? So for those of you who have issues with mumbling, I am using my template for or my structure to formulate a proper sentence so that I don't get mumbling and I can answer properly. Now I'm gonna show you my the same thing that I did. I am just gonna put them into a structure. So I'm starting by saying the discussion focuses on time management at university. Remember my note, time management? And then I'm starting this way. At first, the first speaker initiated the conversation by stating that it is very challenging to manage time at university. On top of that, he further elaborated on the issue by mentioning that it is not only about balancing the courses, rather balancing academic and personal life. Furthermore, he showed enthusiasm to each course required different routine. As you can see, as I'm using a structure, it's not really making sense in this sentence. That's why I don't like a structure, but it's better than not saying anything. You can use certain things like that. Remain flexible so that you can change based on the situation. He concluded by emphasizing on technical difficulties also add up to the challenge. Then I'm moving to speaker 2 using the same structure. While the first speaker expressed his opinion, the second speaker also provided his 2 cents in the discussion. He started by agreeing to speaker 1, so I'm mentioning that he agreed, and builds on this by adding that students have too many things to do at university. He further focused on his issue of procrastination. The second speaker ended the discussion by mentioning that at university, students need to prioritize their tasks. Then I am moving to the third speaker. On the other hand, the third speaker also joined in the conversation and presented her thoughts. She began by pointing out that her biggest problem is staying organized. She also stressed she is not good with long-term planning and multitasking. The third speaker then concluded by talking about attending a time management seminar. As you can see, when I'm using the template, I'm able to speak more fluently with less mumbling. But trust me, the first way I spoke was perfectly fine, and that's how I answer in my real exam. I get 90 out of 90. In speaking and listening, I have gotten 90 out of 90 quite a few times, though that is not the intention of taking the test. Now you can see how I can answer with a structure or even without a structure, right? Keeping them in mind, I'm gonna move to the next slide and I'm gonna get you to take notes for the next slide before I show you my notes, right? Let's take note. I'm gonna play the recording and I'm gonna take my notes as well. All right, let's do it in 3, 2, 1.
3 students are discussing their professors.
Hey, have you guys noticed how different professors have such varied teaching styles? It's like each one has their own approach to delivering the information.
Yeah, it's interesting how the way they teach can really affect how we understand and engage with the content. I mean, Professor Smith's lectures are so structured. Every class follows the same pattern with clear outlines, and he goes step by step through the material. It's great for keeping track, but sometimes it feels a bit too rigid.
I get what you mean. On the other hand, Professor Lopez is all about interactive learning. She encourages discussions and group activities. It's refreshing, but I sometimes find it hard to cover the material thoroughly in class.
For sure. And then there's Professor Wu. I can barely predict what's going to happen in her class. One day, she's giving a passionate lecture. The next, she's showing a documentary. And then suddenly we're having a debate. It keeps things exciting, but I sometimes feel a bit lost. But you know who I really appreciate? Professor Marino. He uses real-world examples to explain complex theories, and his enthusiasm is infectious. It's like he's on a mission to make sure we grasp the practical applications of what we're learning.
I agree. And remember Professor Patel's class last semester? She had this flipped classroom approach where we learnt the concepts on our own before coming to class, and then she focused on solving problems and answering questions during class time. It was effective, but it required a lot of pre-class preparation.
Oh, I remember that. It was challenging at first, but I ended up learning a lot. But let's talk about Professor Taha. She's all about technology. From online quizzes to virtual labs, she's constantly integrating digital tools into her teaching. It's innovative, but sometimes I miss the human connection.
That's true. It's a balancing act, isn't it? I think a mix of teaching styles can actually be beneficial. Some concepts are best explained with interactive discussions, while others require a more straightforward approach. It's about finding what works for each subject and adapting to the needs of the students. And as students, We also play a role in how we respond to these teaching styles. Some of us thrive in a structured environment, while others excel when given the freedom to explore and discuss.
And these diverse teaching methods also prepare us for the real world. In our careers, we'll encounter different communication styles and learning approaches, so being adaptable is a valuable skill. It's all part of the learning experience. We're not just absorbing content, we're also learning how to learn effectively in various scenarios. Despite the challenges, we're actually gaining a lot from experiencing these different teaching styles.
Exactly. It's like a puzzle, and each professor's style is a piece that contributes to our overall understanding. I guess the key is to stay open-minded, engage actively, and make the most of what each professor has to offer.
Right, how did you go? Did you take your notes properly? This is my note. As you can see, I'm starting main topic by saying professor, and then I'm saying S1, which is a male, I'm indicating it in here, and saying different professors, different teaching style. Then I'm coming to speaker 2, which is female, and I'm saying way of teaching varies, and that helps in varies with our way of understanding as well. And then speaker 3 is giving an example, who is a female, that Professor Lopez uses interactive learning and group activities. Then going back to speaker 1, Professor Wu is unpredictable, passionate lecture, documentaries, exciting but lost. Then he also talks about Marino, who he really appreciates and using real world experiences. And at the end he says balance is needed. Then moving to Professor 2 as well, speaker 2, where I talk about, I took note of Professor Smith uses structured lecture, but it can be rigid. And this speaker also talks about Professor Patel, who uses flipped class method, where you learn fast, then she answers the question in the class, and ending up by saying different technology or different teaching style actually gives them adaptability in real life experience. And I'm moving to speaker 3, who talks about Professor Patel and saying that it's first challenging but she learned a lot. Then saying Professor Taha uses lots of technology, innovative but lacks human touch. Keeping them in mind, this is my answer with the structure. I'm saying the part I'm adding here is different professors at the university, and then I'm saying different professors have different teaching style, and then saying my mistake, that it says profession Wu, it should be Professor Wu. As you can understand, Professor Wu is unpredictable and exciting. Then talking about Professor Marino uses real life examples. And then I'm saying balanced approach in teaching style is needed. And then I'm saying teaching styles affect the way students learn. Professor Smith's style is very structured but rigid. Professor Patel's, again, my typing error is here, that you can understand how bad is my typing sometimes. Used flipped class method, and different teaching styles builds on the adaptability for real world. I don't think I used the right grammar here, but hey, grammar is not part of our part of our scoring guideline in the speaking module. And then for the third speaker, I'm saying Professor Lopez encourages interactive learning and group activities. Professor Patel's class was challenging but helpful. And then I'm saying Professor Taha is really tech savvy and innovative but misses the human touch. That's my answer. As you have understood by now, what is the key? That is your note taking. Right, so before I finish, I will reiterate a couple of things. Number one, the discussion will always be between 3 people, not between 2 people. It will always be in a university setup. It will always be between 2 males and a female, or 2 females and a male. Better note taking is key to your success. You should aim to talk for at least 1 minute 15 to 1 minute 30 seconds. You must maintain proper fluency and pronunciation. Just because content is important doesn't mean that fluency and pronunciation are not. And never use a template. Use a structure. You take my structure as an example, and then you can modify it based on your understanding or your need. Alright guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Before I finish, I'm just gonna reiterate few things. Number one, practice a lot, especially of taking notes. Number two, when you take notes, only take note of the important part, that the first part the speaker is mentioning. Don't worry about everything else, because first of all, you can't take note of all of them, and most importantly, even if you can, you won't be able to finish saying everything within 2 minutes, so don't worry about that. And then never stress about talking for all 2 minutes. You are fine if you can talk for more than 1 minute 15 to 20 seconds. That's more than good enough. Number three, and then next thing is, never use a fixed template. Use a flexible structure created by you. You can use my one as sample, but that should not be your own structure. And last but not least, it's better if you can practice delivering without using any structure, keeping it more natural, keeping it more authentic. Keeping them in mind, this is the end of today's video. If you loved it, please like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.